Hey guys, this is Jess with Coastal, and once again, thank you for joining us for our Nutrena Nutrition Talk. As we get together, we've been having some technical difficulties this evening. So yeah, it's just one of those evenings, and we're all gotta love technology when it works, but when it doesn't, my IT department is tired of hearing from me. So. But yes, thank you for joining us this evening as we are rolling out and talking about a brand new feed. And once again, as you can see, but we're glad she's back with us tonight, especially because we're talking about a feed on an animal that I do not know much about. And Meg does know a lot about, because I think she has 1 or 2 or 7 or 8 or something like that. I'm not sure. But hey, so we are talking about a brand new feed for horses, if you haven't guessed it. So Meg, what do we got going on?
We are back with our friends from Nutrena. We are still here socially distanced. Like Jess said, we have had a couple technology glitches. It's the work from home life, but here we are to bring you guys some great nutrition talks. And tonight, especially, I'm really excited about this. We are talking about the Country Feeds Complete Pellet, which is brand new to our coastal stores. So we have Brian and Annie both here. They serve all of our coastal stores. They share a couple of them. And what they do is help keep our stores stocked with awesome Nutrena products. And they also help educate our employees as far as what the actual products are. So Annie and Brian, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it. And Brian, why don't you go ahead and just jump on in and tell us a little bit about Country Feeds Complete?
Yeah, sure thing. So if you can see, this camera's opposite of me. So that pink bag right there, that bag is the new Nutrena Country Feeds Equine Complete. It is an all-in-one feed, so it can be fed to everybody, from a little mini all the way up to a performance horse. You just change the amount that you feed based off of their weight and their amount of exercise. So it's kind of very similar to like an all life stages dog food. Like anyone and everyone has the ability to eat this. It is vast majority fiber. So it's a roughage based formula. So it is like 25% fiber. So very, very high in fiber. And that's designed to make sure that digestion is happy and healthy in that hind gut, because that's where your fermentation takes place. So you want to make sure that your hind gut is well fed consistently. It does have 2 amino acids that are guaranteed in it, both lysine and methionine. Amino acids are your building blocks that create muscle. So without them, you will never actually develop a nice top line across a horse, no matter how much exercise you do. You have to have the amino acids in there to get that muscling across that top line, and give them a
question
beautiful.
for you.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, real quick. And I have a question in too, Meg. If we have other people that have questions, Meg will tell you here in a second about what you might be able to do this evening with that. But for someone who doesn't isn't into horses like myself, what's so big about a top line?
So a top line is an evaluation done about the muscling of the back. And so it changes everything. It changes actually how healthy your horse is, but it also will change how your saddle will sit, and how your horse's ability to carry you will be. So it's kind of everything. If you have a poor evaluation of top line, typically you are pretty malnourished. So you want to make sure that you have an adequate top line.
Awesome. And as
Very
we go
good.
along,
So Meg, there's no stupid questions. Sorry,
There are no stupid questions.
It's like flippy and blippy and all kinds of things. There are no stupid questions. So that being said, what happens if we ask some questions, Meg?
so that being said, if you have any questions about this awesome feed that, again, is brand new to our stores that we're going to be telling you a little bit about, we're going to give away some free bags. So we're going to give away up to 5 free bags. If you are watching this and have a question for our experts about this feed, how it could work with, maybe feeding your whole barn, what the rations would be, that type of thing. Go ahead and type that in the comments. Our experts are going to answer it. We've been having some technical difficulties, so we will try to answer them live. But if we can't get to that, we will go ahead and answer them. So you guys will have up until Friday at noon to ask your questions. We'll answer them. You will see Annie and Brian chiming in on the feed. And from there, we will, Friday afternoon, we will go ahead and draw a winner for one. We'll draw 5 different winners for one bag of each. Not one winner for 5. Sorry, guys. But we'll have up to 5 lucky people who will be winning some free bags of this Country Feeds Complete. So ask away on your questions. We'll do our best to answer them live. If we can't, we will chime in and answer them via the comment feature. So Brian, is there anything else about the Country Feeds Complete that makes it super unique or a great product to feed to the whole barn?
Yeah, so it does have a probiotic in it, which is ideal. So you want to make sure that those gut bugs are healthy and happy. And then along with that probiotic, there's additional biotin for hair and hoof growth to make sure that they are well taken care of and everything looks good. And then you have organic trace minerals. So vitamins and minerals are always important. And organic sources tend to be more easily metabolized than synthetic sources. So you're going to want to make sure that you have your organic trace minerals versus synthetics in other feeds. Sorry, there's a couple kids playing in the playground right outside of my window. I hope y'all couldn't hear them too much.
No, you know what? You're fine. We're doing the whole work from home thing, and I think some nights are just a little bit more of a struggle than others. To be honest, I had to mute myself there for a second because my dog was chasing a fly around the house. So don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. So I do have a question that popped up. Darcy wants to know, is this complete a no forage type of thing? Can you guys kind of fill us in a little bit on that as far as hay stretching, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. So again, technical difficulties. I had to switch from my computer to phone. So this whole thing, but definitely great question, Darcy. So Country Feeds Equine Complete, it's in the name, right? So this can be a sole ration if it needs to be. And sole ration means that no roughage, no hay, no pasture necessary. Obviously, the feeding rate goes up. So then that way you can meet the horse's needs. And the feeding rate is on the back of the bag. To where your horse sits, if it's an easy keeper, a hard keeper of your riding or anything like that. But also it can be fed as a hay stretcher, and hay stretcher means exactly like I'm sitting on a haystack, right? This stuff is very important to us and like gold. So we need to keep that stuff as we let it go as far as we can, right? So maybe in the summertime, this would allow you to let your pastures go a little bit longer because it does have that high roughage, high fiber content, like Brian said. You can add this to your horse's diet and they won't need to eat as much hay or as much pasture to meet their needs necessary. So again, depending on what you're going to feed it as, there's on the back of the bag, it says, sole ration rates versus you're just going to add it as a supplement / grain to your feed diet as a hay stretcher. It explains and breaks it down, whether it's for your mini, for your broodmare, or maybe you just got some pasture pets out there. I have a couple. My husband has some hunting horses that he takes packing every year. And for the most part, they get to hang out and be babysitters. So this is an awesome product. I'm so excited for them because they're easy keepers. They blow up really easy. So I'm so stoked to have this in my barn. So now I can add it to them. So my pastures last a little bit longer through the summer, and I'm not having to, feed them as much hay or a roughage of any sort.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. We have a question from Debbie too. She is asking about her horse that has some ulcer issues. And she wants to know, other than the fiber that you mentioned, is there anything else in this feed that will help a horse that has some ulcer issues?
So great question, Debbie. So fiber is huge, right? We want to keep something in the gut at all the times. That's going to definitely help with ulcer issues. But it's a great thing you asked, because this specific product, high fiber is going to be the key to that, keeping something in their stomach. That's where roughage comes in: hay, grass, anything like that to keep their saliva going and there's something in their belly all day. But we do have a product that just came out as well. It's new to Coastal. We did a talk on it about 3 weeks, a month ago. I'm not so sure. It's actually the bag right behind me. It's Empower Digestive Balance. So that is going to be something to help maintain the proper pH in the horse's stomach, to help prevent and keep the right gut mixture so you have a happy, healthy gut. So you can add these together and have a really strong, great supplement to give your horse. But this is also in your Coastal stores right now. It's an awesome supplement that just got added to the Empower family and is on sale, as well as the Country Feeds. I know we'll touch on this too, but these products are both on sale. Don't forget, at your Coastal until August 7th. So go in, get yourself a bag. It's a great product to add. If you're looking for, digestive and like kind of that pH and stomach ulcer issues, the Digestive Balance is definitely a go-to as well.
Awesome. And I just want to remind everyone, if you guys have a question like Debbie or Darcy, and you want to go ahead and comment, we will be drawing on Friday afternoon 5 separate winners, and you guys will each be receiving a free bag of this feed from Annie and Brian. So if you're watching this live and you have questions, we'll do our best to get to them live here on the feed. If not, we will be monitoring through Friday at noon, and honestly beyond, to answer any questions that you have. Annie and Brian are great at chiming in even after our live videos end to answer any questions. So Friday at noon, we will be picking 5 random winners to each win a bag of feed. So if you have questions, go ahead and chime in.
And you know what? The nice thing about this is, even if this isn't a question about this specific feed, if you have a question about horses, this is our weekly talk. This is your chance to talk to some experts, minus me, about horses or whatever we're talking about that day. So, you know what? Any questions, throw them out. Try to stump us, and let's see what we can do. But we love to help you. That's why we're here. It's a nutrition talk. It doesn't have to be specifically about that feed. It's just, this is a new feed that we wanted to showcase. So like I said, there's no stupid questions, and trust me, I've asked a lot of them. So just ask Brian. Yeah, that's why he's laughing. You see, there, he knows.
No, there's no stupid questions.
We do have a question, also from Debbie. She is asking about a product that is more of a gastric support. I know you guys have a lot of competitors. There's a lot on the market out there that have kind of a gastric support supplement type of product. Can you let us know how the Empower would compare to that type of product?
Yeah, so the vast majority of gastric supports that are on the market stop after the stomach. So most of them use some sort of calcium source to lower the pH in the stomach to prevent ulcers there. And ours does as well. The Empower Digestive Balance uses a marine source calcium to lower the pH in the stomach to try and help prevent ulcers. But then it continues on through the entire gastrointestinal system. So there's Butapearl Z, which is a intestinal tissue support, and that's designed to make sure that there's no holes in the intestinal tract, which could cause something called leaky gut syndrome. There's a proprietary blend of yeast cultures that are designed specifically to make it to the hindgut to help fermentation better than just a standard pre and probiotic. Then there are an insane amount of guaranteed analysis tagged pre and probiotics in that Empower Digestive Balance. And the reason I say tagged is super important, because if it's not tagged, you're not going to know how much is in there. If it's just a probiotic, a lot of times that's not That's not something that's quantifiable. So when it's tagged, it means that you know exactly what you're getting. And then to just help with salivation and taste and palatability, it's flavored like peppermint, and it's actually really good. Like the peppermint flavor lasts for a good little while. So it does go further than your standard on the market gastric support.
So it's gonna make your barn smell great then too.
Hey,
Yeah,
I have some bags of it and it smells pretty tasty.
I mean, I love the smell of, just oh my goodness, the molasses, and the corn and some of that anyways. But man, add some peppermint in there. Shoot, who needs a candle?
So this the CF Equine Complete here. I don't know if you know what the ingredient riboflavin is, but it has a licorice smell.
Yes.
So this
Oh.
right here just smells like straight licorice. It's so good. I'm really excited about it.
So when are you gonna start bottling those and just selling that instead of candles? A whole new Nutrena candle line. Hey, you should do that. Nutrena candle line. Hey, I'm copyright Jess Ropp right now. But put out candles that smell like the feeds. Get your CF Complete candle. Maybe
Your Digestive Empower candle.
your Digestive Empower.
Yeah.
That's great. And hey, you keep talking about the tag stuff, and that's good. You guys will have to go back and check. Go to our website and look. We have a series of blog articles as well as a video we just recently did on talking about how to read tags and a lot of the information that Nutrena and Cargill put on their tags and how it benefits you and how it benefits feeding your animals.
Yeah, I think probably one of my favorite things, just talking about feeding animals and the benefits. One of my favorite things about this feed that we're talking about tonight is that it really can benefit the whole barn. So it's not necessarily, one bag of feed that you're buying for one specific horse, whether you have a broodmare or a foal, or maybe that horse that's a little more active and working a little bit harder. They can eat this too, which I think is fantastic. And all the way to, we were talking about even rehabilitating a rescue horse and how this can be a great feed for that. So Annie, can you let us know kind of why this would be a feed that would be great for rehabbing a horse that maybe is coming from a rescue?
Absolutely. So one part about rehabbing and usually rescue horses is you need to make sure that they can digest everything easily. And it's going to be something they're going to like too, right? But we want to make sure most rescue places, horses are coming in really poor. So they need something that they can maybe, and usually teeth, things like that are also not very, very good, right? So the high fiber is definitely going to help where they get their fiber content from this feed, as well as they're going to be easily digested roughage. Like I said, it's a sole ration as well. So you can feed quite a bit of this to a horse and kind of slowly introduce some roughage or pasture as you're trying to slowly gain that weight without any upset. And, it's going to take time with those rehab horses. You can't just pour it to them right away. So this will allow you to kind of have a great feed to kind of add that in to slowly transition them kind of back to like a full, having that availability of roughage and pasture, and as well as, working its way with that high fiber content.
That's fantastic. Karen has a question, and she wants to know how the Empower that we were talking about previously would work with a normal feed like this CF Complete. Can you let us know like what feeding would look like if she was to maybe add the Empower in with her feeding regimen that she has now?
Yeah, for sure. So the Empower Digestive Balance is designed to be added to your standard feed already. So you would feed a normal ration of the feed that you are feeding, and then you would feed the recommended rate of Empower Digestive Balance on top as a top dress. So it's less than 2 pounds per day for your average horse, up to like 1,500 pounds. It's still going to be less than 2 pounds per day. So you feed very, very little of it. And all of the feeding directions are on the back of the bags. It gives feeding directions for if you're feeding twice a day, 3 times a day, or 4 times a day, depending on how you have your feeding system done. So you would just add it directly on top to whatever your current feeding ration is. Unless your feeding ration isn't Nutrena, then you would switch it. No, I'm kidding. um, but you would add it directly on top to whatever your normal feeding ration is. And then you would start to see benefits.
Awesome.
And I also want to chime in too on that. It's also a great product if, pre-stress events. So if you're going to haul in the trailer, or you're going maybe to an event, whether you're, horse show, barrel race or rodeo, whatever, you can also feed them a snack. I'm holding this scoop because we have one of these feed scoops, which are really cool. But you can also feed a, 8-ounce serving or, cup size serving as a snack, like half an hour to an hour before. Again, feeding rates are all on the bag. And this will also kind of go in and coat the stomach and kind of help keep those buffers. Sorry, I have a motorcycle going through town. But also keep those buffers of your stomach down. So it's a great tool. I've had a horse be hauled up here from California recently, and he got this, he's on it all full time. Thankfully, it's my father's horse, but he also got, snack right before he went into the trailer. He got a snack partway through the trailer ride, and all that stuff to kind of add, keep that stomach and stressors controlled.
Sounds like when I go on trips, you got to have a pre-snack.
Right.
You got to stop and get a mid snack before lunch.
Yeah.
Have lunch, and then a post-lunch snack. You got to have it. So you asked something earlier, which kind of was interesting to me. Typically raising cattle or whatever, I feed twice a day. Is there a reason? Sorry, this is kind of a side note, but is there a reason with horses, and you all three kind of know horses here, to feed like more than that, more than a morning or a night or a midday? Is there a reason for doing that?
There are a few that could play into play. So a lot of it's your schedule and how often you want to see your horse, but there's also certain like metabolic issues that you potentially need to be out there checking regularly. And then a horse's stomach is only lined on the bottom half of the stomach. So you never want more than 11 pounds going in at any one given time. So if you have a horse that is very, very active and you need to feed a high amount of feed, and that's anything, that's including forage, that's including hay. If you're going to be exceeding that 11 pounds, you need to make sure that you're breaking it up. So if you are feeding 30 pounds, that has to be fed 3 times a day, just so that you don't naturally fill above where that mucous membrane is.
Interesting. Now, see, you learn something new every day. So,
and also too, horses are used to grazing. Like if they're out in a pasture, they're usually grazing about 17 hours a day out of a 24-hour day. And of course, those are little bites and stopping and getting water, maybe hanging out underneath the shade tree. But, around 17 hours a day, they're taking little bites of grass all day as it's getting digested. So horses are kind of normally used to having that stomach lining, like Brian was saying, usually kind of full, hence the buffer and stuff they usually have. So feeding a calcium and like digestive balance, if you can feed it multiple times a day, you're going to get the best results because you're keeping that marine calcite and you're getting that, additive hind gut support and everything. It's continuous throughout the day. Obviously, if we're working from home right now, so my horses have been getting it 3 times a day, luckily. But in a normal day, 2 times a day is, kind of your normal. But, the more you can feed it, just like if you can feed a horse hay multiple times a day, it's going to, kind of give that same buffering.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Exactly. Even though we started off this conversation with talking about the new feed, the country feed, I love how it's kind of turned into how different products in the Nutrena family can be fed with it, such as the Empower, to really get awesome results. And I know we've touched a little bit on the fact that this almost can be comparable to an all breed, all life stage dog food in a sense, whereas you could feed this feed to your whole barn if you needed to. I know, especially right now, sometimes simplicity is really high on that priority list. Let's just be honest. With everything going on, we're all super busy. Everybody's kind of adapting their lives right now as we deal with all this and technical difficulties and all the things that we deal with. And that's one thing that I really love about this feed is that if you're looking for something to feed your entire barn, a good high quality food that you can trust that what is on the tag is in the bag and that it's going to nourish your horse correctly and give it proper nutrition. You can feed it to your whole barn, and maybe you do have somebody in the barn that is maybe a little bit higher maintenance. You have great things that you can add on, like your other supplements and everything else, really to just keep them in their prime and feeling great. So I love that about this feed. I'm going to check and see if we have any more questions.
So while Meg's looking there, I have a question while Meg's looking. So, she touched a little bit on, this is kind of a complete feed. And then, we talked a little bit about mixing feeds, and there's certain aspects. I guess, there's certain times where it is beneficial to mix some of these feeds depending on what your horse is. And there's no issues really with mixing that, correct? I mean, as long as you're following the label, or is there certain things you want to watch out for? I know you guys do a great job of creating feeds specific. I mean, I kind of joke sometimes. It's like we get super specific when it comes to horse feeds with you guys and anybody. It's like, do you have a middle-aged overweight horse with 3 legs and 1 good eye? Then this is the feed for you. So it's kind of funny. I joke, but you guys do a very good job of that. So is there times that it may be beneficial to do this, like maybe to stretch your feed further or to do some of that? And it's not going to hurt. It's kind of what I'm saying. I mean, it's not going to hurt with blending that.
Right. As long as you're not, contradicting yourself, right? I would think, yes, you can mix feeds. Most of our Nutrena feeds we try to keep it simple, right? So, and as long as metabolic issues too come into play. So I definitely make sure you don't want to, feed a metabolic issue horse a really high starch feed, which most of our feed are Safe Choice line if everything is starch controlled, but just making sure you're in goal what you want. I mean, you're not going to feed your Easy Keeper super high fat Pro-Force fuel. But if you really want to put weight on one, you're probably not going to feed them, Safe Choice maintenance, which is kind of our diet Safe Choice, right? So making sure your goal is maybe expressed, or if you have some questions on how to get that way, but mixing like our Empower family with your current feed program, absolutely. Like, the Empower Digestive Balance could be top just on every feed we have. The Empower Top Line Balance, and same thing with our Empower Boost. Like all of those are made to be mixed in and added to feeds as well. So it just depends on your goal, and definitely you can definitely mix. But if you have any questions or anything, Brian and I definitely can help you out with making a specific diet that's right for you guys. Always, that's what we're here for. But just making sure your goal is, we like to keep it simple. We making sure that we have all the ingredients in the bag of feed that you need to make your end goal. And that's what's important, is a nice, happy, healthy horse.
So,
yeah. And if you have,
oh, sorry, Brian, go ahead. Then
I was going to say, and beyond the Empower line, like with this Equine Complete, if you have a diet that you're currently really happy with, but you're worried that you're lacking a little bit of forage because maybe your pasture didn't come in as well as it normally does, or your hay doesn't look as nutritious as it normally is, that's where this one here can be supplemented as that hay stretcher to make sure that things are going the way that you want them to, because forage should be the majority of your horse's diet. And so if you're in a situation where your forage isn't as good as you thought it should be, then that's where this comes in.
One, and like you said, that's a good point. We, as for those of us that do raise our own hay, and most of you have grown up on farms and around hay, we tried to do our best to get a consistent hay product every year. But even like this year, we had some, at least on this side of the valley, on this side of the mountains, in the valleys, we had late rains, made a little bit better hay. Your hay, your protein, your values can always change. And that's why no matter what you're doing, I highly recommend testing all that, testing your hay. when you raise it yourself and stuff. So you know what those values are, so you can make sure that you're feeding appropriately. You're not wasting stuff in a sense. And that's another good topic that we can discuss one of these times. But another good one I was going to say too is one of these times there's a lot of people that are new. We have people, kids, adults as well that come into our stores that are new to horses. Maybe they just decide to get a horse. They've just moved out to the country. And so there's a lot of these terms that they don't understand. So maybe one of these times we're going to do a fun one on terms that people use with stuff, and so like what I was going at was like top dress. When you say top dress, that's something we throw around, we understand, but what does that mean? Someone's like a top of a dress or what? What are you talking about? Dressing up my horse? Or, what are we talking about here? So why don't you just
I think that would be
a top line.
Yeah, and top line, all those things. So I don't know. It'd be good. Yeah. It would be, that's another subject we'll cover one of these times. But top dress, can you just explain that real quick to someone that maybe new? What does that mean when you talk about top dressing feed?
Oh.
So top dressing means that you place it on top of the feed that is already, like, you're already feeding. So you've made your normal feed ration and then you add this on top. You top dress it.
So is there a benefit to doing that versus mixing it up? Like putting in the pail and mixing it up? What's the purpose of top dressing? Is it just attracts them to dry them, or does that get into that part where that stomach, it gets to the bottom part of the stomach or whatever with the horses?
So to be honest, after I top dressed, I always mixed it in too. I think it's just I think it just means that it's not going to be the sole feed that it's being fed, and that you're adding not a whole lot to it.
There you go. I know you guys are laughing at me.
I thought you were going back to your top line question from before, and you were just cracking me up. Oh gosh, I love it. I love it.
Saying, you know what? I'm not a horse person, and I know there's people out there that probably aren't as bad about not knowing horse stuff as I do. But there are people that are new, and if my wife was standing behind me right now, she'd be smacking me around because she is a horse person. So there you go.
I love it. I love it. We do have a question that rolled in, so I want to make sure we get to Chris's question. Because I think we have a great answer. He wants to know how this particular feed would work for donkeys, mules, or even miniature horses. And also something that we haven't touched on, can it be fed to other animals, any other species?
So donkeys, mules, and minis all in general can survive off of air. So you don't want to feed a very, very high calorie feed to them. And this is great for that because it's majority forage-based, majority fiber. So it's going to be a pretty low calorie feed. And as long as you're feeding it at the proper weight of the animal, so if you have a 300, 400 pound mini, don't feed it like a 1,000-pound horse. You should be fine there. And what was the second part of the question?
If it can be fed to any other animals.
Oh, so that goes on to tags. So when we tag a feed, we say that it will do this in this animal, it will do this in this animal. This is only tagged for horses. So we are only recommending it be fed to horses or equine. So donkeys, mules, horses.
Yep.
Awesome. The only other comment that we had on here was Debbie saying thank you for all the info and that it was super helpful. And I'm just gonna echo what Debbie said and say thank you guys for hanging out here, chatting with us. I know we do this super often, but it's always fun, even when we have some nights that are a little bumpy getting started like tonight. I think we always have a good time. And it's fun to learn so much about the awesome Nutrena products that fill our shelves. So we can't thank you guys enough, Annie and Brian, for being here. I know Jess and I really enjoy it. We are going to have to do, maybe a feed term or an equine term or something kind of chat one of these times. I think that would be super fun. Where I know more about the horses, Jess knows about the cattle. So, our roles kind of flip in that and what we know. I think that would be awesome. So To everybody who was hanging out with us tonight and watching, we can't thank you enough for hanging out here,
Yes, thank you.
asking questions, chatting along with us. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you continue to. If you are watching this video and you're not watching it live, but it's after the fact, don't forget that you can still go ahead and ask questions in the comments. Annie and Brian are going to monitor, and up until Friday at noon, we're going to pick 5 random winners to win a free bag of feed. And again, that is the feed that we were talking about tonight. Even though we talked about a couple of the free bags that you are winning, is the Country Feeds Complete Pellet. And it is on sale, and it's actually on sale right now up until I believe August 7th. And correct me if I'm wrong, the Empower that we touched on tonight is also on sale.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct.
Fantastic. So if you are listening to this and you have a question, go ahead and ask. If you ask before Wednesday or Friday at noon, you guys will have the chance to win a free bag. And if you don't, you can go into your local store and pick one up because it's on sale. You'll save some money, and you can even pick up some other great Nutrena products while you're there. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, you guys. We really appreciate it. Annie and Brian, thank you so much for being here, and we will see everybody next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.